Your baby is growing quickly, and it seems like they're developing well. Everything is going great. They're getting into everything all over the house, but it's a beautiful journey. And then other times it seems like, well, Mary's son was walking by now, or shouldn't she be talking yet? Is everything okay? Let's talk. And welcome back to Practical Pediatrics. I am Dr. Shlan Brown, and as usual, I'm always so happy to have you here with me today. And today we're going to talk a bit about development. It can be such an exciting thing to watch your child developing, and sometimes things can seem to be going so quickly. And then other times you can begin to wonder, are things really going the way that they should be, or is there any reason for you to be concerned? So I'll talk a little bit about what we're supposed to be expecting and whether there really is need for concern. So when you go to your pediatrician, we measure a lot of things. We measure their weight, we measure their height, we measure their heads as well to make sure that things are going well, and we can plot those things on a chart. We can see the numbers and say, okay, yes, things are going in a particular direction. When we talk about development, we can't really use numbers to plot them, but there are certain things that we do expect that help us to know if your baby is developing well. And when we talk about development, we're talking about their neurological or their brain development, really. And so there are things that we can see that we call the developmental milestones that help us to know how things are going with the baby. So as I've always said, we ask a lot of questions. So we are going to be asking questions to help us to know. But the first thing that we really should ask is, what do you think? Do you have any concerns for your baby at this time? Because if you have concerns, we should be concerned as well. You live with your baby. You know your baby the best. And so anything that might be concerning to you is something for us to check on. So when we talk about development, there are 4 domains of development that we are assessing the questions that we're asking, or 4 areas of development. And that's your gross motor skills, or your large muscles that help you move about. Your fine motor skills, those smaller muscles that help more with coordination and the use of your hands, and those fine movements you'll use to write and do buttons and zippers, etc. That's your fine motor skills. And we talk about your language. Now, language is divided into 2 as well, but we think of it as 1 domain. So we talk about expressive language, which is what they say, and then your receptive language, what you hear and what you respond to based on what you understood from what was said. And then your social and adaptive skills, or what are the things that you're able to do for yourself and how you interact with other people. So the questions will come mostly in the form of, what can your baby do for themselves now? What is little Johnny doing now? So let's take a journey from 1 to 5 years and see what are the things that we're to expect in the first 5 years. Now, I say the first 5 years because they're the most crucial years of development, not because development stops at 5 years, certainly not. There's a lot more that goes on, particularly in your social skills as well, and your cognitive or your brain development, educational development that we follow as you continue to grow. But those first 5 years really are that crucial point where if something is really happening, it would be best to intervene in that time, and where we see a burst of development as well. It's the fastest period of growth that we see. So that's the time where we will pick up a lot of things if things are actually happening. So let's see what we're supposed to be expecting. Now, as a newborn, you might not think your baby can do really much of anything, but what they can do does help us to know a lot about what's happening with them. And those little ones, when we put them to lie on their tummy, or what we call a prone position, we hold them face down, they're able to lift those little heads up for just a little bit. Not a very long time, but they do have some amount of head control. They're also able to look at us a short distance, really from our elbows to our faces, but they're able to follow that just from one side of their face to about the middle of their vision. They can't really follow past and go all the way across, but they can follow up to the middle. That's what we call fixing and following. They're also able to regard your face, really just intently taking who mommy is and who daddy is. And they're also able to alert to sound. So they may not say much, but we do know that they're hearing when a loud truck passes or a door slams and the baby startles a little bit. That's what we call alert to sound. And ideally, every baby should have that first evaluation of their hearing. By the time they're 2 months, those shoulders are getting stronger, so they're able to lift up that little chest off of the bed or the table when you put them on their tummy. And that head that was very wobbly now becomes much more sturdy. So they really are gaining that control of their heads particularly. Then they're going to be able to look at you past that midline. So they're going to follow you across the room, they're going to be interested in you, and they're going to look at you all the way across the room and be interested in what you're doing a bit because they can see a bit further now. They may not say much to you as yet, but they will respond to you now and they will start to smile when you interact with them. When you talk to them, when you stroke their cheek, you can know that they're hearing and understanding and responding by their smile with you. And they're also able to know who you are. So they know that you are mommy, you are daddy. By the time they're 3 to 4 months old, they're now really gaining strength in that upper body and they're able to push themselves up off the bed, and they're now going to become rollers, so they become active. So it's very important that we know are putting in the safeguards to keep them safe. We don't want to have any accidents with them rolling off the bed or the chair. We want to keep them as healthy and safe as possible. So they learn to roll first from their front to their back, and then from their back to their front. And so we have to be very watchful in this time. They are now going to be able to learn to reach out with both of their hands, and they're going to learn, wow, I don't have one hand, I have two. And they're going to start bringing those two hands together and meeting in the midline, and then begin eventually to start putting those little hands to their mouth, because it's how they learn. It's what we call mouthing. It's a tactile or something that they can feel that they learn through as they are exploring their environment. And as we talk about environment, they love to look around and just take everything in. They're very interested in what is happening around them. By the time they get to 6 months, I know that some of you are getting ready now with that half birthday and that smash cake and you're excited about it. And they can do that because they can sit up and support themselves by themselves. They don't need anybody to help them. So they can sit up straight, they can get into that cake, and it's exciting. Those hands that were reaching out together, they now learn to reach out one at a time, and they start to grab things. So they grab at everything, the earrings, the glasses, the hair, the keys, everything. So we keep them safe by keeping these things clean. And remember, they go to the mouth. So, making it a safe environment for them to be able to use those things and put those things to their mouth. Now, I must say here though, that even though they're learning to use one hand at a time, we don't expect a baby to show us that they're left-handed or right-handed at this time yet. They really don't develop that until they're about 2. So if your baby is showing that they're using one hand more than the other, this is definitely something that you need to tell your pediatrician to see if any more investigations need to be done and make sure that everything is actually okay. Alright, so just keep that in mind. As for their language, they really become talkers now. So they were cooing and laughing with you at 3 and 4 months. And now they're going to start to sound like they're actually using some words. So they start to babble at you. And that's an exciting period of time, I know, as well. Because now it actually begins to sound like, oh, they're talking with me, right? So no mama dada yet, but they're going to get there very shortly. And socially, they begin to know that people are strangers, but they're not very bothered by the fact that they're strangers. They just know that, okay, this person is different from my family environment. When they get to 9 months, those legs are going to start to get strong. And they're going to now hold on to the furniture and pull up and stand. And they can take it a step further, and they will do what we call cruising. So they hold on and take their steps as they're holding on. They're not quite strong or brave enough to let go as yet, but they soon will be. If you have not started to baby-proof your house yet, this is the time to do so, because your little people are not only cruising, but they'll be crawling well as well. So they're very mobile. And so we need to cover those edges. We need to make sure that the sockets are covered, the toilet lid is down, those buckets of water in the home are carefully monitored, because they can get themselves into trouble. We want them to explore the environment. They become big explorers at this age. We want it to be safe for them to do so. For their fine motor skills, they are now going to move from having just grabbing movements to being able to have what we call a pincer grasp. So they're going to take those 3 fingers and the thumb and start to learn to pick up smaller things off of the ground or the bed or wherever it is. And again, we need to help make the environment safe for them, because remember, these things go to the mouth, and we don't want them to swallow anything that's harmful to them or anything that can choke them. So be very careful here as well. They now begin to give us that mama dada that we wanted them to say before. So moving from just babbling to saying mama and dada. However, mama may not really mean mama, it might actually mean dada, and vice versa. Dada may mean mama. But they will get it started out soon as they continue to learn to speak and hear you speak. Their mama dada will become specific to you soon. And then socially, they can learn to say bye-bye. They also learn to understand simple commands like no and stop and come. So they are progressing quite quickly. And then we get to the year, and thank God we've made it to 12 months. They now have the confidence and the strength to be able to walk freely. So they will begin to learn to let go and walk. And they will walk alone. And then for those fine motor skills, that immature pincer grasp now becomes a mature pincer grasp. So they're learning to use those two fingers and pick things up. And remember, as I said, those little things become hazards when you put them to their mouth. So buttons, pins, batteries, Legos, peas, all these little things, they can swallow them and choke. Or if they don't choke and they pass through safely, thank God. But if they don't, particularly pins and batteries, these can be hazardous just by the nature of what it is. And these are emergencies. You have to take the children to hospital if they swallow these things. So again, be very, very careful with the environment around them as they continue to develop. They now add one or two other words to their mama and dada as they learn to speak with you, and it really begins to sound like a conversation now. They begin to have a different tone in their language as they're talking, and it sounds like a conversation. And they can understand simple commands now as you show them. So, Johnny, sit here, you point and tell them where to sit, or Mary, put on your shoes, point to the shoes. So they know what you're asking them to do, so they can understand those simple things. And then they also are beginning to imitate things that you're doing. So if you talk on the phone, they talk on the phone as well. If you are making funny sounds, they're making funny sounds as well. So they're learning to do things that you are doing. And neglected to say, they begin to have stranger anxiety. So where they weren't afraid of strangers at 6 months, now by the 9-month mark, actually, they begin to not be very happy with strangers and become more clingy and not want mommy and daddy to go and so on, because they know who strangers are. So they begin to display and continue to display that for a little while. So as we end our journey here today, I really think the most important thing to say is enjoy the journey of your child growing up and developing. Really continue to help them by reading to them and singing to them and cuddling them and all of these little things. They're not just for today, they really are for the rest of their lives. It's very, very important. But also as you continue to do that, I can't say enough, I say again, make their environments very safe for them to explore and have fun. We want them to explore, we just want them to be safe while they're doing it. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you have learned a little bit more about what should be happening in the first year of life. And I should add here as well that, while we have these guidelines for what should happen, they're just that, they're guidelines. And some children may develop a little faster, some may develop a little slower. But, your baby's journey is your baby's journey. You will definitely speak about what the red flags are and when you definitely should speak to your pediatrician. But, it's not important what Mary's son did or Susie's daughter did or even what any of your previous children did before. What's important is this baby's journey now and enjoying now with this little one that you have. So thank you so much for being with me here today. I look forward to seeing you next time on Pocketbook Pediatrics. God bless.